Hello, my name is Elijah Winfrey. I am a writer and director, and this is Movies That Moved Me. This is where I talk about those films that made me want to be a filmmaker. And my hope is with this series that if you are a fan of my work, that maybe you'll be able to see where some of the influences came from. If you've never seen my work before, hopefully maybe this leads you to click on some of the other videos here on this channel. Or at the very least, let's just talk movies together. That's cool with me too. So if you've seen the movies I'm talking about, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of them. I would love to interact with you on that level. If you've never seen it before, go watch these films and then come back and talk to me about them because I think they're pretty good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be staying up late to make a video about them because I'm filming this at like midnight. So bear with me. But anyway, let's get into what we actually want to do here. Okay, let's talk about this movie. Today's movie is Point Break. That's right, Point Break. So this film came out in 1991, and I want to give you the details here. So let me switch screens. The film is directed by Catherine Bigelow. It was written by Rick King and W. Peter Lilith, and it stars Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves, Gary Busey, Lori Petty, John C. McGinley, and Red Hot Chili Peppers do also make an appearance in this film too. The film is about this, okay? In Los Angeles, California, a gang of bank robbers call themselves the Ex-Presidents. They commit their crimes while wearing masks of ex-presidents Reagan, Carter, Nixon, and Johnson. The FBI believes that the members of the gang could be surfers and send young agent Johnny Utah, played by Keanu Reeves, undercover at the beach to mix with the surfers and gather information. Utah meets surfer Bodie, played by Patrick Swayze, and gets drawn into the lifestyle of his new friend. And obviously, because Bodie is one of those bad guys, it creates a natural conflict there. So let's start right there. That conflict between Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. I loved it. That to me is what made this movie work, was the conflict between the two of them. Because it wasn't your classic, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy, we don't like each other. Because they actually do. They like each other in this film. They're friends in this film. And it almost makes it somewhat heartbreaking when the realization comes that, wait a minute, this guy that I thought was my friend is actually my enemy. And now I got to go get my guy. I have to go take him down. Okay. This was one of the first times in my life watching movies where I actually felt sympathetic for the villain in the film. Okay. Now, I want to explain that just briefly. Okay. Because I'm going to at some point talk about Batman movies and I'm going to talk about how the Riddler is my favorite villain. And some people might say, well, obviously you watched the Riddler before you watched Point Break. So wouldn't that be the first instance? Not really. Okay. Because when I was little, what I loved about the Riddler was he wore a green suit. He asked, riddles. He was interesting. Okay. I didn't feel sympathetic for him. He was just interesting. In this film, I actually did feel something for Patrick Swayze's character and where his character was coming from. I thought it was a very interesting take. And again, that to me was eye opening because I really hadn't experienced that with a film before, where instead of rooting for the good guy, I was like rooting for this in between weird spot where everybody ends up with a happy ending, so to speak. So that was really impactful to me. And it has made it to where whenever I write a villain, I always try to write a villain that you can somewhat see where they're coming from. And maybe, just maybe, you might actually be rooting for them in the movie instead of the heroes that I write. So this movie is the reason for that. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is Lori Petty, because Lori Petty in this film was so strong, okay? And this was one of those moments for me where I realized that female characters do not always have to be the damsel in distress. Now, there is a point in this movie where she needs to be saved, but that's a very brief moment in this film. Okay, for the majority of this film, she's the one bossing Keanu Reeves around. She's holding her own with all of these other people in this film, and that to me was eye-opening, and it changed the way that I wrote female characters. So again, Point Break, hugely impactful in my writing process, and just overall a really good movie. I love the ending of this film. I know I talked about that with Enemy of the State. Sorry about that. Don't know why I sounded like Porky the Pig just then. But anyway, I love the ending of this film. Again, I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't seen it, but if you have seen it, I'm wondering, did you feel like Johnny Utah kind of did Patrick Swayze's character a favor, or do you feel like that's not how that went down? Because to me, I feel like he kind of did him a favor at the end of the movie. And again, I hope that's enough code where I didn't ruin anything for you. But go check this movie out. I know that it is about surfing a little bit, but it's really not all about surfing. Okay? But I really enjoyed this. I think you will too. It's Point Break. It's another impactful movie, a movie that moved me. And so, with that, leave your comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this one. If you have seen it, if you haven't, go watch it and then come back and talk with me because I am anxious to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Movies That Move Me.